Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss the main astrology of February 2025. We move into the second month of the year and we have some clear themes aligning in February, starting with a Pisces Stellium that begins on February 1st. We're going to see Jupiter stationing direct February 3rd and 4th. We have a slow moving Venus this month as she is moving through all of her retrograde shadow territory. Plus, we'll have Mars stationed direct at 17 degrees on February 23rd. Finally, Mars will station direct. And what this means as well is that we're going to have all planets direct for 5 days of this month. That's right. Plan wisely. February 24th until February 28th. We're going to have all planets direct until Venus stations retrograde on March 1st. So I hope that helps you with anything you want to plan, especially for the end of the month. So we're going to talk about all of these energies more specifically in today's show. This show is an overview of the month, and then every Wednesday episode is where we dive in to the weekly energies as they are showing up. On February 1st, we begin the month with a strong alignment of energies in Pisces. We will have the Moon, Venus, Neptune, and the North Node all aligned at 28 degrees of Pisces. Now, of course, the moon moves on rather quickly, but the moon syncs up our daily energy and our emotional bodies to this alignment, and we feel the significance of it even more with the moon interacting in the conjunction. Then the moon moves on, and we have Venus in Pisces conjunct Neptune and the North Node, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at 28 degrees of Pisces, so near the very, very end of the full zodiac wheel. But more significantly, now Neptune is conjunct that North Node at 28 degrees. That exact conjunction lasts for about 10 days, and then they proceed to be apart by only 1 degree. So the conjunction between Neptune and the North Node continues even as the North Node moves on to 27 degrees. Now, there's multiple layers of this energy that are important. And I want to reference the historical importance here of what is unfolding, because that is the biggest story. That is the collective energy field and how it is transitioning in a very big way as Neptune is conjunct the North Node in Pisces. So let's examine this a bit further. Neptune spends about 14 years in each astrology sign. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but about 14 years. Now, the nodes of fate take 19 years to move through all 12 astrology signs. So the nodes of fate are on a 19-year cycle. So when we sync up the nodes of fate with the amount of time that Neptune spends in each sign, it means that every time Neptune is in Pisces, it can only meet up with the North Node in Pisces once, if that, because of how these cycles play out. So as I was researching this alignment here of Neptune conjunct the North Node, I was going back into the previous times when Neptune was in Pisces, with the last cycle being 1847 to about 1862. And Neptune was last conjunct the North Node in Pisces at 20 degrees in early January 1858. And during this time, more specifically 1857 to 1859, there was an ongoing theme in the Christian church called the Great Awakening, the layman prayer revival, and a resurgence of interest in faith-based topics and practices. Again, this is the last time Neptune was conjunct the North Node in Pisces, late 1857 into early 1858. So then I went back further to look at the previous cycle in the late 17th century when Neptune was in Pisces and also experienced a conjunction to the North Node in Pisces. And that happened in December 1690 at 12 degrees of Pisces, which was a period of time when many Western countries were exploring the oceans. There was a lot of piracy on the high seas. A new pope came into power in 1691, and then in 1692 we have the Salem witch trials that began in March of that year. So it's fascinating to look for these Pisces themes during these Neptune and Pisces cycles, because not only are the themes apparent in what we were learning at certain levels of consciousness and at different phases of the human evolutionary journey, but of course there are the common threads that show up and weave together how we are learning and growing as that North Node moves through Pisces and highlights the lessons and experiences of the cycle. Now in our modern era here in the 21st century, we have a lot more knowledge, education, information, consciousness, and access to new ways of understanding and viewing the cycles that we're in. And so as I was preparing for this energy of February 2025, I thought it was important to reference the previous cycles that highlighted a spiritual revival, which is related to our consciousness expanding and understanding how we're meant to grow through the higher expressions of Pisces, related to compassion, love, forgiveness, acceptance, surrender, and how this is a cycle that opens up those previous energies and can bring them into our modern awareness. And so what I mean by that is that the strong Pisces interactions can create the desire for greater unity consciousness to help us rise above what divides us and to see what we have in common, especially based on the many cycles and history of this planet. How can we elevate? How can we move ahead and do it differently with greater acceptance, greater awareness, greater compassion for ourselves and for each other? Because this cycle that begins with Neptune conjunct the North Node is very strong in February. Then the North Node will interact with Saturn in April 2025 and sets the stage for more energies that we're going to be working through until early 2026 because of Neptune and Saturn retrograding into Pisces after entering Aries for only a portion of 2025. Essentially, February opens the gateway for bigger collective growth, lessons, and understandings that will possibly relate to our previous experiences of Neptune conjunct the North Node cycles. Now, when I see that Venus is here and is being deeply influenced by this North Node conjunct Neptune energy, it means there are more divine feminine energies rising, that individually each of us is being called into our divine feminine expressions and higher attributes to fully embody and receive those intuitive downloads about expanding our hearts, dissolving separation, and allowing ourselves to grow into new frequencies of love. Now, we can say that, we can read that, we can discuss it, but do we actually do it? Do you truly apply it to people in your life or people in your world? Or do you instantly go into that energy of separation, hate, dislike, resentment, fear, anger, whatever it may be, as soon as someone says a certain name or brings up a certain experience or a certain person? If that's the case, then the assignment is clear. Then that person, that energy, whatever they represent to you, is the assignment in how to accept yourself with greater love, how to move into greater love, how to rise up in what that looks like for yourself, knowing that you cannot change anyone else. You can only evolve yourself. So allow that discord, that disagreement, whatever that emotion or energy is, allow it to elevate you. Allow it to be a catalyst for beautiful growth that expands your heart, that offers a higher perspective, and also a return to the knowingness that every single person is on their own soul growth journey at this time. And we don't have information about what that is specifically for every person. You can simply access it for yourself and work with it in your own energy. And that is where you shift, grow, and evolve. And that is part of this assignment, especially with Venus here, because Venus makes the energies more personal. It brings it into our sense of self-value and self-love. It shows you where your energy can grow and evolve into higher states by connecting to the wisdom and growth that Neptune and the North Node in Pisces offers. This can also open up big world events that require more compassion, more assistance, more help. This can be where the floodgates open. There can be a lot of water movement here. There can be a lot happening in the oceans and rivers. There can be a lot of movement with a strong Pisces influence. And then we as energetic beings feel that movement as well. So this sets the stage for more emotion to show up in February, more movement too that can take you to more creative expressions. There can be beautiful things that develop as February begins. There can be magical understandings, very surreal experiences that come through. You could feel a surge of inspiration, divine guidance, openings into even more of your intuitive gifts and your spiritual awareness. And this is, as I said, divine feminine energy rising, since Venus is conjunct the North Node and Neptune in Pisces, and we are meant to ride those waves and see where we can go as this energy flows with us and through us. Just looking at the history here of Neptune interacting with the North Node, we're going to be learning even more about stories that we didn't hear, what had disappeared, what was hidden, what was not fully revealed. There's going to be a desire for that information to come to the forefront. There's also going to be a rising of healing energies, especially for Venus, and especially for those who feel that they had a lifetime during the Salem witch trials. This is going to bring up some very strong themes for you, where you could feel that energy of spiritual persecution. You could feel that you have been or you are being targeted for your spiritual gifts in some capacity. This can also bring up previous lifetimes where you were heavily indoctrinated in a specific religion or spiritual practice that was out of balance. You could be experiencing the opposite effects of it in this lifetime as part of the karmic balancing. And that can show up here when we have this focus on strong Pisces energies, is that now you're on the other side of the experience, so to speak. You're on the other side of what it feels like to receive that energy. And that's part of the duality of Pisces, is that you have various human experiences to understand the different angles, the different experiences of that energy that ultimately help your soul growth, help you understand what is going on through these multiple energies. So if you were the righteous pastor in one lifetime, then you might experience someone who comes across with that same level of righteousness, just for example. But there is the energy of what we are balancing out, what we are learning, where we are also detaching so that we don't re-engage and create new karma or continue to spin in that same cycle of energy. So one of the best things to do is to continually go higher and observe yourself. Observe what's being triggered, what's coming up for you, what themes are grabbing your energy, are grabbing your attention, and how you can learn from them in order to move forward. Now, after Venus makes this conjunction to the North Node and Neptune and Pisces, she then enters Aries on February 3rd. And this is where the energy definitely shifts, because now she's in the domain of Mars, and now she's returning into her assertive self that wants to go for something. She is sovereign and empowered, but she's in her retrograde shadow all month. So this is where it's going to be very important to look at how that Venus in Aries will want to assert herself, but to not do so impulsively, impatiently, or out of anger, because that's going to backfire. Instead, this is where a slow-moving Venus in Aries needs to be highly intentional and also allowing of her intuition to come forth and guide her. She just received a powerful download from this Neptune North Node in Pisces, and she's going to need time to integrate it, to slow down, to sit with it, to work with it in a whole new way. And that's part of what the Venus retrograde cycle is going to bring up, is that it's meant to help shift you into a new trajectory of growth without resorting back to how you've always done things. So know that this Venus is going to be big here in February because she's ultimately learning about herself at a whole new level, understanding what's worth her energy, what's not. That Venus in Aries is meant to decide, what do I fight for? What do I stand strong in? What is truly me? Where can I be independent? Where can I be in my sovereign gifts and sense of self, but not at the expense of shutting down everyone, harming relationships, or damaging connections? Because that Venus in Aries is going to be learning how to integrate more of her divine feminine self here during the upcoming retrograde. So know that Venus is a big player here in February, and this is where you could find it necessary to go slower, step back, and really be in more of your self-love, self-value, and creative energy as a way to further integrate these big shifts that Venus is going through. Also, as February moves on, we're still going to have this Neptune conjunct the North Node, as I mentioned. So this energy persists and will highlight collective changes. Now, because it's happening at the end of Pisces, this means there are going to be more endings, more closures, more karmic cycles that are meant to be over. And we'll see it even more clearly in April when Saturn is conjunct the North Node, because Saturn is about timing, the real world, the physical world. Whatever is happening behind the scenes here in February, it will hit the real world in April. This will relate to all Saturn energies, which includes those in charge, leaders, CEOs, mentors, elders. People will be leaving the planet. People will be stepping down and resigning. There will be a fall of leadership of some kind when Saturn is conjunct the North Node in Pisces. But here in February, we're getting a heads up at the big changes that are coming, because this Neptune is stronger than Saturn in Pisces. This Neptune is signaling a very big shift. And because there are energies that will resist the unraveling, this is an unraveling that will occur on our planet. That will be part of the confusion. That will be part of the deception, the cover up, the lies. What you don't see is the Pisces realms, or rather what you don't see clearly, but what you feel and sense. And so keep in mind that with the South Node in Virgo, that's about what we can manage, what we can take care of. So you could have a sense of, wow, these are big changes. There's a lot going on. It's really overwhelming. I don't know what to do. South Node in Virgo says, fold the laundry, chop wood, carry water, exercise, take care of yourself, simplify, but do it in a healthy way. Do it in a way that honors what you're really feeling, but grounds you and helps you feel connected to the planet and to the present moment. So for February, you're going to want to have some simple things you can turn to and tend to in order to work with the changes that are unfolding across the planet. And this is going to be one way to manage all of the energy movement and to direct your energy in a healthy outlet. Also in February, we're going to have Jupiter stationing direct. That occurs on February 4th at 4:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Jupiter stations direct at 11 degrees of Gemini after 4 months of a retrograde journey. Now, as Jupiter stations direct, the messages get louder, especially in Gemini, and that's because Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system, and there are messages coming through that you're meant to hear, you're meant to understand. And if you've been distracted or scattered or ignoring them or pushing it away, this is where the energy comes in, and it might be something that is so clear and evident that you think, why didn't I realize this before? And that's part of the influence here of Jupiter and Gemini. There's something you're meant to know, you're meant to understand. This also means there's going to be course corrections and plot twists. Anything that has been hidden or kept behind the scenes comes to the forefront and gives us the facts, the details, the specifics, as Jupiter is connected here to the messenger energy of Gemini. Big messages coming through that first week in February. So stay aware of what you're meant to learn, understand, speak up and say, and you could feel a shift in your throat chakra. You could feel ready to do something, to express, to speak up, or to write something. Choose your method of communication here, whatever calls to you, because the energy is focusing in on a vital part, your growth, that maybe you've been hesitant about. When Jupiter is retrograde, we do feel more hesitant. We hold back, we want to retract and let me think about this some more. And then in Gemini, it can get to the point where you're spinning in it, you're overthinking it, you're going down all these rabbit holes, you're giving yourself a lot of reasons or excuses or justifications, or thinking, I don't have enough information, let me keep researching this. Well, this standstill point is meant to be where you give your mind a break and you also take a mental standstill and say, enough is enough. I have what I need. I'm going to stop overthinking this or over researching it. I'm ready to move forward with what I've got, with what I know, with what I've learned, trusting that it's exactly what it needs to be. Jupiter brings in that ability to trust yourself more. Trust your throat chakra. Trust your ideas. Trust what's been calling to you, especially if it's that next big vision or exciting endeavor. Jupiter and Gemini will help you in breaking it down into a reasonable format, or at least the appropriate next steps to move it forward. Because yes, Jupiter and Gemini can be overwhelmed. There's too many ideas. There's too many possibilities. Well, during this station direct, jot down whatever is spinning in your head. Write it out, talk it out, do whatever you need to flush it out, because it could be simpler than you anticipated. And you might just have a breakthrough in what you're meant to truly understand and know. So Jupiter is hanging out here in your chart at 11 degrees of Gemini, accentuating a message, a happy message, a good message, something beneficial and uplifting. And this is when you could finally feel like you're getting it or there's a breakthrough here. Now, the other turnaround we have in February is Mars stations direct at 17 degrees of Cancer on February 23rd. This happens at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on February 23rd. And of course, we've had a very long Mars retrograde journey that started back in December. It was December 6th, 2024 that Mars stationed retrograde, and here on February 23rd, Mars will station direct. Now, this is still going to be a slow-moving Mars because in Cancer, he has been swimming through the depths of his heart, his emotions, an emerging truth, a new way to trust himself, what he's feeling, anything that's been repressed or held back. And that station direct makes it louder, makes the energy come forward, and we start to feel it in a whole new way as Mars changes directions. Keep in mind this Mars is also out of bounds, and that lasts until April 7th. Out of bounds can be best understood similar to sports, where if you throw the ball out of bounds, it's off the field. Same with Mars. Mars is off the field. He's out of bounds. He's in the wilderness, unknown, uncharted territory. More specifically, it's when a planet's declination is 23 degrees either north or south of the equator. So it's 23 degrees north or 23 degrees south of the equator, and the energy is more extreme, more restless. There's no limits, footloose and fancy free, and that's where this Mars is. Mars has swimmed outside his swimming lane. And so if this were about the Guinness Book of World Records, here he is swimming further than he's ever swam to set a new world record. It's that kind of energy of stretching yourself. So when Mars is out of bounds in Cancer, he's outside of his emotional comfort zone. This is new territory. These are new feelings. What's going on here? What's coming up? And we look at it through the Cancer themes of the past, home, family, private life, inner world, what you're really feeling and not sure how to express or give words to, wanting to keep matters to yourself and work through them personally. I did a whole episode for you on Mars retrograde in Cancer, so you may want to listen to that podcast that goes into more specifics, especially around connections, attachment issues, early childhood experiences. That's what this Mars is in. Mars is also now bringing up memories from the past, things that he's not really over. He still has anger around it, or he's still pissed off and working through it and needs to move the energy physically. So as this Mars stations direct, February 23rd at 17 degrees, he's going to look at how far he's been swimming, how far away he is from the shore. And essentially he's at a pausing point and treading water and deciding, I'm going to go back to shore now. I've gone as far as I can go with this. How do I turn this around? I'm going to turn my energy around, and now I'm going to use it in a new way to make it work with me, to make it work for me, and to fuel me into new understanding, new self-awareness, a new connection to what I need. So that could be an energy shift you feel here at the end of February, is that whatever you've been processing and moving through, it will have a sense of perhaps exhaustion and a desire to get past it, to get over it. And Mars stationing direct is going to help you move forward in a new way, and is going to help show you how to move forward and how to return to what you truly need now. So also think of it as Mars has been swimming back to the past, perhaps a past version of himself, a previous experience, a memory, again, anything that was hidden back within the realms of his unconsciousness. Now he's going to move forward, bring that energy with him into the present moment, and help him feel newly empowered with what he's learned about himself. But do keep in mind that this theme, this energy, whatever it is for you, could be something that you're really tired of, because Mars is in Cancer for 3.5 months, and this is not an astrology sign that he's typically familiar with or even enjoys. So if you're like over it, you're so exhausted, how does this move on? How does this move forward? Well, there will be a turning point on February 23rd, and then it won't be until April 18th when Mars reaches the shore and re-enters Leo, where he will now start to dry off and get warm again after that extended journey in Cancer. Now, after Mars stations direct, we have 5 whole days of all planets direct. It's the only time this year when all planets are direct, because then we'll have Venus station retrograde on March 1st. So the last 5 days of February may have more forward motion for you that feels more peaceful and graceful, or could even feel like you have an opportunity to finally relax and breathe. In February, we journey through Aquarius season and Pisces season, but the Pisces energies are going to be much more influential starting in February and lasting into early 2026. Now, with the Aquarius energies, we will see the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto all in Aquarius, and this is going to bring up even more powerful energies within the collective that demonstrate where we want change, progress, revolution, evolution, and all the ways we want to get there, meaning there is a splintering of pathways and directions that will emerge during Aquarius season. And it's going to show us extremes. And that's how Pluto works. Pluto in Aquarius is going to show us the extremes within the Aquarius expressions, everywhere from brilliant breakthroughs, genius concepts, powerful solutions, and grand visions that we can co-create and move towards. And on the other side of the spectrum, Pluto in Aquarius will show us deep resistance, the dark side of humanity. Pluto will unearth and bring to light what's been hidden, especially what's been hidden from the mainstream and the masses. Pluto will reveal the worst in the population at large. So Pluto brings up very strong responses, emotions, and energies within the collective. And this will include audiences, followers, groups, fan bases, networks, fraternities, sororities, outdated tribal energies, plus clubs, teams, associations. You get the gist. It's going to reveal essentially what Pluto intends to evolve. But in order to do so, we have to see the darkness or the underbelly to get to that deeper energy or intention that's in charge, or that is no longer in resonance with where humanity is going. So there's going to be some interesting developments occurring as Pluto journeys through Aquarius, and more of that will come to light with Mercury in Aquarius, revealing the messages, information, secrets, and details. February astrology has a very active Mercury, Venus, and Mars, making aspects to many planets. So we'll be discussing those interactions in the Wednesday podcast. And they are small in comparison to this Neptune and strong Pisces energy that really starts this month. Keep in mind this can bring up more extreme weather, unprecedented weather events. The bizarre, rare, and uncommon trends can come forward. And when we have strong Pisces energy, we have to mention, of course, that this means there's a time of endings, transitions, closures, energies that are meant to complete a very big cycle. And it will be up to us to determine how to understand and move through this cycle. In Pisces, we are guided to go higher in our spiritual understandings, that everything ends in our physical world. Everything transitions in some form or another. Change is the only constant, as the saying goes. From a human perspective, we're going to have various ways of viewing large events and developments. And from a soul perspective, we can choose to go higher and connect with the soul's intention that everyone chooses to leave the planet when it is time for them, when their work is complete in this lifetime, when the energy has shifted in a way that it no longer resonates or connects, or perhaps any other reason that a soul chooses to leave the planet. And I'm speaking about this as potential developments unfolding worldwide that are not just occurring in February, but understanding this bigger cycle of Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, along with the North Node, signaling that it's time for a turnover of energies. I did do a separate podcast episode for you discussing the importance and themes of Neptune and Saturn dancing together in Pisces. So please listen to that episode as it gives more specifics into these themes, including the health issues, healing, and well-being themes that come up as Saturn and Neptune each signal that an ending is happening. Saturn represents the 3D, Neptune represents the 5D. And when they are dancing together, there is an intermingling of frequencies, and Neptune is dominant. The 5D waves are more powerful, and think of it as it's the bigger wave of energy rushing through and flushing out whatever is meant to be dismantled and disintegrated in the 3D. With the theme of big changes, transitions, and endings, this can also bring us more into not only our heart space, but into the energy of gratitude, being grateful for what you have in your life, being grateful for your health, your loved ones, your home, food on the table, being grateful for what brings you joy, what you get to do every day, understanding that everything is temporary, everything leaves, every person leaves your life. So be grateful for who you have in your life at this time, for who you have in your journey in this lifetime. Be grateful for the people you get to share wonderful experiences with and who you get to spend time with. This is a time of gratitude for the simple things, the everyday things, not taking it for granted or assuming that something or someone will always be there, because everything is meant to flow and move. And that is a big theme that we're moving through, and it's our ability to flow and move with these changes that will be key. We're all temporary visitors passing through, or as Ram Dass says, we're all walking each other home. So a beautiful intention for February is to go higher in your frequency, go higher in your compassion for other beings, go higher in your ability to be grateful for your life, what you have, what you experience, what lights you up, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. And of course, that then allows you to pull in and attract even more of the same frequency. This could be a magical month of manifestations and developments with that Venus interacting with Neptune and the North Node. This could be a time of heart openings and heart expansion, big creations, beautiful love, beautiful expansion of love frequencies and heart-based connections. A time of amazing downloads and insights that give you a higher vision about your life and what you want, as well as understanding what you're done with, what you're moving away from, because you've outgrown it, it served its purpose, and you're ready to move on to that next chapter. So there's a lot of transition here in February. As I've said, you've gotten the point, but the idea is to note that it needs to be an area of ourselves that deepens our capacity to love and accept another, to let go and move on as necessary, and to know that the universe always promises a new form of experience, manifestation, and creation. You may understand more about your expectations and or your attachments this month. You may energetically feel that it's wise to step back, surrender, and allow movement to occur instead of trying to force or assert energy that isn't landing or isn't going anywhere. There's a sense here that we're being taken to new understandings of what we want to do that perhaps haven't been presented before, because you could also connect with a new dream, a new vision for your life, a new direction you want to go, and you're not quite sure how to get there, how it could happen, how it can manifest. It seems ridiculous and impossible, but the universe always has a way. The universe is always co-creating with us, and if you have that download for a vision, a dream, something that lifts you up and carries you forward, then that could be exactly what you're being guided to trust without being stuck in the details, the how, or the particulars, because those could slow down the manifestation flow at this time. This energy signature is just go with it. Just ride the wave, see where it carries you. Trust yourself, trust the energy to move you into new places, because there's a reason why you're being guided there in the first place. Everything in the universe is designed to move. Everything is designed to be in motion. And it's when we stop the motion or stop the flow that we slow down that manifestation or the universe's willingness to bring it forward more easily or gracefully. So if you have resistance to change, if you are dreading change, if you're pushing back or trying to control the flow somehow, this is going to slow down what the universe wants to direct you towards. So it's really a time to not be too in the mind and allow the miracles to occur. Allow the unexpected developments to happen. Allow the universe to delight you in some capacity. Because as we go higher in these frequencies, all of that is possible, and it comes about with a greater quickening than perhaps you've known or experienced before. And so if you're willing to be in this space, then that's where the universe will meet you, and that's also where you will feel the energy rise up and guide you forward. Now, we're each feeling these endings and new beginnings in very individual ways, and I'll be teaching a live workshop going through these strong Pisces and Aries energies on Friday, February 7th. There will be 2 live workshops. They will be recorded and available for a replay. I'll be talking more about the specifics of these transitions and what to look for in your chart. Plus, I have for you 5 pre-recorded videos that help you understand what is being set up, the different themes and archetypes that are also coming up in these strong Pisces and Aries energies. So do check out that live workshop. It's called Your Soul's Next Starting Point. And this is important for many of you who are light workers and starseeds, because you are meant to move on to your next mission. You are meant to move on to your next chapter, and you're going to be leaving behind a certain area of your life that maybe you had the thought it would last much longer, or you expected it to be ongoing work. But chances are you're going to feel that it's complete, that you're ready for that next start, that new beginning. And I hope that this information prepares you, especially because this energy of the new start really comes in strong in 2026. So I'll put the details below the podcast here if you'd like to join me for that information. And no worries if you can't make it live. Of course, everything will be available for you to watch as it fits into your life. So February is a significant month. Do keep in mind that March is not only Venus retrograde and then Mercury retrograde, but then we enter into eclipse season in March as well. So the energies will really be changing in March, but I hope that February gives you some beautiful insights and support for where you're moving next in your world. As always, thank you so much for joining me. It's a joy to connect with you every Monday and Wednesday for this podcast episode. You can find all of my current offerings at mollymccord.online, where I have a lot of astrology programs and courses to help you become your own astrologer, to help you know your own energy even more. And that's the joy of astrology, is that you start to understand more of who you came to be in this lifetime and how the cycles of the cosmos are being revealed to you as well. Wishing you a beautiful journey through February 2025, and I look forward to connecting with you back here again soon. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.